What's up? What's up? It's John here from JJS Consultant Tech. Yeah, so it's a different type of video today. It's more of a tutorial type of video, and in this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to make any mic sound good for like your live stream. Um, yeah, it won't sound like this, but I'm gonna be showing like the Podcaster. What is it? The Procaster? Yeah, I had that for a while. I've been testing it for like live stream events and etc. And it's pretty good. So I'm gonna pop this up right here. So this is the Rode Podcaster Rodecaster 2. Yeah, this is a great device. It's a wonderful device. This is a device that's for podcast, it's for streaming. It's really good, and the preamps are really good as well. They're almost on par with the Mix Pre. They're really clean. So I'm gonna be I'm gonna use this mic right here. So you might not have this mic. So this is the AKG 416. But if you have like the SM7B, if you have whatever type of mic that you have, if you follow these steps, you should be able to get your live stream sounding really good. Because your video might be good, your lighting might be good, but if your audio isn't that great, people are going to tune out quickly. So let's hop on over to this. Let me hook this up and let me switch to the Rode Podcaster so I can start this up. So just plug this in, get this nice and ready. And I'm gonna use a pop filter as well on top of the AKG because no one wants to hear all of the P sounds and the etc. So yeah, let's get this up. All right, so we're not using Apollo. So even if you don't have the Rodecaster, you can do this with any interface that you have, as long as they have these type of settings, as long as you can do like things like well, we're gonna go through the advanced. So there's depth, there's sparkle, and there's punch, and etc. Let me switch on over to the Rodecaster. Okay, test 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. So this is the Rodecaster. Well, this is the AKG on the Rodecaster, and this is what it sounds like. It should sound okay, I guess. Pretty plain. But we are going to go through each and every setting until it sounds similar to that other mic. It won't sound like that mic, but it'll sound good enough. So make sure you set the input gain correctly. Now, this is one of the most important things. Now, depending on what type of location that you're in, if it's treated, if it's not treated, setting your input gain is very important because you don't want to pick up all of the background noise that's in your location. Now, for instance, if I set this to like something like 51, it shouldn't sound that good. You should hear a bit of background noise and it's just very loud. So make sure you set this properly. And one of the most important things when you're dealing with a mic, it's best to be very close to the mic, the proximity effect. So the closer you are to the mic, the more full your voice will sound. Now, if I'm all the way back here, you're not only going to catch the mic, you're going to catch a whole bunch of room tone as well. So be close to the mic and put your level and at an appropriate level. So this mic is pretty good at 28. I'm looking at the levels. Let me switch to the other cam real quick so we can look at the levels together. All right, so we're gonna press home. Okay, so good. So you see my audio levels, they are hitting around -30, which is fine. And if I speak like a little louder, it's gonna go up to like 15, which is fine. You don't want it to be clipping, like hitting 0 all the way up here by 0. You don't want that at all because it's not going to sound good. So make sure it's hitting around these levels, a good -30, -15. Even if it goes to probably like -9 on a Rodecaster, that's pretty good. But this is a pretty good input level. So let's go back. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So make sure you choose the right setting as well. So the Rodecaster, so this AKG is a condenser mic and not a dynamic mic. So just do a little research on which type of mic you have, whether it's a condenser or dynamic, and choose accordingly. And yeah, set your input gain. If it requires 48-volt phantom power, check with the manufacturer as well to see if it does and turn it on or off, depending on what type of mic you have. Phase. Now the phase, is this the phase? I think this is the phase. Now this is only necessary if you have more than one mic that's the same and they're in close proximity to each other. You will turn this on so it doesn't have a weird effect, because if they're closer to each other, they can cancel out some of the frequencies and you can get a kind of a warbling sound. So just, you don't have to worry about that right now. So so here are the nice, you guys can't even see what I'm pointing to. All right, so this should be a little better. Now here is some of the presets that the Rodecaster has. So there's depth, there is sparkle, there is punch. We're not going to do any of this. We're going to go right over to advanced, because advanced gives you the absolute most out of this device. So we want to click advanced, and I know this seems to be a lot, but we're going to go through each and every one of these live, and you should hear my voice change while I'm going through these things. So this is the best way to learn sound and to fix your microphone according to your voice, because my settings will not work for your voice because everyone has a different voice. So if you go through these things one by one and you adjust it by ear, and yeah, make sure, another point, make sure you have like a good pair of headphones, a good pair of monitoring headphones, something like the Audio Technica's MK50s, I think, or 40s. Those are good headphones to start with. Or you can do like the DT Bayern Dynamics DT series. Those are good as well, but just make sure you have some good monitoring headphones so you can get that nice flat sound, because when you're adjusting any of these settings right here and you have a nice flat sound, it will translate a bit better. Because if you have a bass heavy pair of headphones, something like Beats, yeah, Beats. If you have something like Beats and you adjust it according to the Beats, it's going to sound very different to your online viewers. So just make sure you have something that's close to flat, those microphones I mentioned, and you'll be good to go. Okay, enough rambling. Let's get into this. So let's start with the high pass filter. So the high pass filter is just a fancy word for a low cut. So it makes everything on the higher spectrum pass through and everything on the lower spectrum cut out. Hopefully that made sense. So everything below 70 hertz will be cut out and everything above that will pass through. High pass filter. Yeah, so for my voice, I'm going to probably do You know what? I can't hear this, so let me put my headphones into the Rodecaster so I can hear it the same way you guys hear it. Okay, okay, testing, testing. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two, three, four. Of course it doesn't work. I plugged it into the monitor. Okay, okay, there we go. Jeez. Maybe I should read. All right, so I can hear myself and you guys can hear me as well. All right, so let's mess with this low cut. So I'm gonna go to like maybe 100 hertz. And the best thing to do when you're messing with this, go to the extreme. Go to the complete extreme so you can hear a complete change in your voice. That way, when you make the adjustments, you can stop wherever it sounds good to you. So for my voice, if I do 200, I have completely no low end whatsoever. So let's go to like 100. 100 for me is fine because I don't have a bassy, boomy voice. And for the slope, you can make the slope as aggressive as you want. So the higher, well, 6 dB slope is going to let more of that lower frequency in there, like right here. But we want to cut that out completely. So we have that type of graph type of thing. Yep. So don't worry. This thing is about layering. It's all about layering. It's like a cake. So you don't want to throw too much sugar in there or too much flour or whatever. You're going to mess up the whole cake. So you want to do bit by bit the right amount of everything. So at the end of the time, at the end of it all, when you put it in the oven and take it out, this is a delicious cake. So it's the same thing with sound. So let's go to the de-esser. So the de-esser. So the only thing about this is that this application doesn't actually show you the live effects that is happening. So I have to switch to the Rodecaster. Testing, testing. All right, so let's switch over to that. Yeah, so the application doesn't show you any of this. Like you see the levels at the side. Rode needs to fix that because I want to do everything in the application. So for instance, if I turn down the threshold, and if I take it all the way up, as you see, you don't really hear any S's whatsoever. So that's not normal. So there's no reason you need to take it that high unless you're like some sort of snake or something like that. And it's like OD sibilant. Oh, you got my man Kev. What's up, Kev? What's up? Yeah. So if you're like some sort of snake or something like that, you don't need to put it that high to take out all the S's. So you can test with and stop at a level that is pleasing to your ears. So for me, right here is good. Is Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. What's up, Tristan? What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah. So we are. Yes, sir. I'm learning too. Yes, sir. So Sally sells seashells by the seashore. That sounds pretty good to me. It isn't too annoying. It isn't too. Yep, this is a de-esser. So this is the Procaster, and we're just going through these things bit by bit. So I was gonna show. Oh, this thing is very wobbly. All right, so make sure it's like right there. Make sure it's nice and clear that you can see it. There you go. It's probably gonna lean, but it is what it is. As long as you guys can see it. And yeah, and we are testing this microphone live. So let's go back. So the microphone that I have this plugged into the Rodecaster. So this is the AKG 414, I think. So you might not have this microphone. Yeah, but if you do any type of microphone and follow these steps, as long as you get the principles down, you can make any microphone sound good on this. So let's get right back to the de-esser. So that sounds pretty good to me. It's not as annoying to the user's ears. So, ooh, Bluetooth. That's the wrong thing. Let's go back to the de-esser, and the next thing is noise gate. Now, the noise gate. Now, this is if you have a very high noise floor. Oh, you guys can't see anything. And this thing keeps leaning. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. You guys can see that as well. Okay, let me keep my hand right here to keep it from leaning. Okay, so the noise gate, it eliminates a lot of the noise floor. So, like when you are speaking and you stop speaking, it like cuts out the signal completely so you can have a cleaner signal. Now, there's some pros and cons to the noise gate. The noise gate, if it's too aggressive, can be very annoying. Now, for instance, now if I take this threshold all the way up, you can't really hear anything that I'm saying because the noise gate is too aggressive. And look at the waves. As you see, the noise gate is above the waves, so it's cutting out everything. Now, as I said, that's the best thing to do. Go as aggressive as possible and just dial it back until it sounds decent to your ears. And testing 1, 2, 3, and make sure you pause like that to see how aggressive the noise gate is. How does that sound? Does it sound annoying? Does it sound good? Can you hear anything in the background? Testing 1, 2. I was walking down the street and I saw a bear, and I was like, it's a bear. And the bear looked at me, and I looked at the bear, and we just stood there and stared. Snap your fingers, snap your fingers. Nah, but yesterday, it sounds good, it sounds balanced. Okay, cool. But yesterday, I ain't gonna lie to you, I saw a deer. I was walking, and I was on my phone, and I looked up, and the deer was looking at me dead in my face. I was like, how did you get here? Because it was like sidewalks, and it was right next to a building and on the field. I was, where did he come from? And after I looked on my phone and I just walked past him, the guy just walked right past the gate and just went down the street minding his business. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, that'll be for like a story time. Let's go to the next thing, which is, yeah, this thing is annoying. The compressor. All right. So, compressor is very, very important. Now, how important is it? It's very important. Now, the compressor, what it does, it squishes your voice. So it makes the high part of your voice come down and the lower part of your voice go up. So as you see, there's makeup gain right here, or you call it wet gain. So that re-adds some of the gain that you lose when you add the compressor. So if you have a crazy voice, a lot of dynamics in the voice, a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and you put a whole lot of compressor in there and it sounds really low, you put a little bit of the makeup gain or the wet gain. Don't go too crazy with this because with the compressor, it can sound OD crazy. Why isn't this focus? Hold on. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah. It can sound OD crazy. So, again, we're going to go aggressive so we can hear the difference, and then we're going to dial it back just a bit. So, from my voice, as you see, testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Nothing is active. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's kind of working pretty well. Let's mess with the attack. 0, 0. Ratio. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong screen. I forget the software, you can't see the levels. So I'm looking at the software thinking nothing is happening and everything is happening on the screen. So let's do this back again. So the threshold, I don't want this to be too active. And the ratio means for every for every time it goes over the threshold, it takes it down 4 dB. So that's a little too aggressive. Usually I like 3 to 1. 3 to 1 is a balance for my voice. It might not be the same for your voice, but again, these are just principles. You can fancy it up however you want. Just make sure you have good headphones on so you can hear the difference. So let's go to, let's do this threshold like right here. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, let's do the attack. So the attack and the release. The attack is how fast you want the compression to initiate. And the release is how slow you want the compression to release. Hopefully that makes sense. So for my attack, I want that compression to be kind of quick, not too slow. So 0.22 seems to be fine. Testing. I was walking down the street and I saw a bear and I was like, it's a bear. And the bear looked at me and I looked at the bear. We just stood there and stared. Okay, so that seems to be fine. Let the release, I want the release to release a little bit faster. How does this release sound? It's a very slow release. Nope. Let's push the release a little quicker. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can count. Let's turn this off. This is how I sound without compression. And this is how I sound with compression. Do you hear a difference? You should hear a difference. Hopefully you hear a difference. I don't know how well this translates. Do you hear a difference? Testing. 1, 2, 3. This is with compression. This is without compression. I can hear a difference in my headphones, but how does it translate out there in internet land? This is with compression. Without. With. Without. With. All right, let's move on. So the next thing is equalization. So this is one of the limits of the Rodecaster. It has 3-band EQ. Now, you want more bands of EQ. Reason being is that you have more control over each and every type of frequency. So for instance, so there's the high bell and there's the high gain. So the high bell is this. Okay, so for this one, I can switch the camera. All right. Oh man, you guys can see my server. All right, so right here. So the high bell is this one right here. This is, see, it's like a bell shape. So that's why I call it a bell. So this high bell, this is the mid bell, and this is the low bell. So the high bell is mostly for higher frequencies. So as you see, this is 9,921 hertz. So this aids to the airiness of the openness of the voice or the vocals. So it makes it sound a little nicer, just airy. Yeah, just airy. The mids that's where most of people's my Rodecaster was falling. So the mid bell that's where most of our voices are, really. That's the meat and potatoes of our voice. So if you have a nasally voice, it can be in the midsection as well. So you want to cut that out, or if you want to add according to your voice. And the low is that rumble, is that bass, is that deep part of your voice. So for women, you might want to add a bit to give it a little bit more body. For men, if it's too much, you might want to cut that out. But it all depends on your voice. So we're gonna do this bit by bit. So let's do the high bell. For high, I like 10,000. I like up in there, and let's do aggressive so we can see. As you see, this is too airy, and it's annoying to your ears. So let's take this down, and if I cut it out completely, it's completely no airiness. It's just dark. Like an SM7B. So let's take this up a bit. So it can have a little bit of airiness, and so you can hear me a little bit better, clearly. This helps with like syllables, and if you're like really sibilant, you should cut this out. Cut this out a bit. This and like the 2K range, like you can cut that out. But again, this is why you should have good headphones so you guys can hear it while you're making the adjustments. So for my voice, let's start right here for the mids. I mean for the highs and for the mids. Let's see. So I hear a little bit of nasaliness that I need to cut out. So I'm gonna move the bell a bit. That nasaliness probably is around 600. Testing. I'm gonna cut that out. Let me see how that sounds. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. I'm gonna do a little aggressive so I can pinpoint where that nasally sound is, and that'll make the adjustments. My name is my name my name is name. Okay, so it's around the 400 area. So as you see, if I re-add that in the 400 area, my name, as you see how name sounds, it's very nasally. My name, and I cut that back out. My name. Pretty significant difference. All right, so I'll keep that around the -3 for my voice because I don't want that nasally sound when I say certain words. My name. Yep. Keep that around 3.4. My name is John from JJS Consulting Tech. Let's do the lows. Let's see. Let's go aggressive with it. So this is too much lows. Now you see, this is the problem with 3. Oh, let me take that back. That sounds crazy. So this is the problem with 3 points. As you see, if you take up one a little too high, it automatically affects the mids right here. It automatically affects the mids, so it completely messes it up. So that's just a limitation that you have with the Rodecaster. So I will. So let's do 100. I get more boominess with 100. Okay, so this is what it sounds like. Okay, so no EQ. This is what it sounds like with no EQ. And this is what it sounds like with EQ. No EQ with EQ. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Voice is a little clearer, a little more pronounced with EQ. Like I said, these are just principles. Like with your voice is going to be this is going to look completely different. But just play with it. Just play with it. Don't be afraid of it. Just play with it. Because once you set it once, you don't got to set it again. All right, so the next thing is the exciter. Now, me personally, I don't mess with the exciter. So the exciter is kind of like the same thing. Okay, let me switch this view so you guys can see what's going on with the exciter. So you see the frequencies of the exciter, the harmonics, and the tune. Well, the tune, you see, it's the hertz. The hertz is the same. It's basically the same thing as the EQ. So the tune is, back there, it was like 80 something hertz. So it's like around this section. I have mine set to 100, but it's around this section. So it's affecting that section. And the oral, so that's like the high-ish or the mid-highs. And that's around 3,000. Me personally, I turn off the harmonics because it's similar to like a double EQ, and it kind of takes away. It could add or it could take away. But me personally, for my voice, I'd take out the exciter. But your voice, you can play with it. You can play with it and see how it sounds on your voice. It's kind of like a double EQ, but it only targets the lows and the highs, or the mid highs, which is the 3,000, around the 3,000 hertz range. And panning. So panning is like the last thing on this. So panning is, if you're like singing and you want that type of effect on the left and you right, like if you're really good, you can I don't know what you got. Just leave it in the middle. Just leave it in the middle. Don't mess with the panning. If you're like creative and you're doing some kind of song or something like that, then yeah, mess with it. But for now, with your voice, leave it. And that's it. Yeah, those are it. That's it with this. So the thing about the Rodecaster, I can't turn off all of the process. Oh, I can. Oh, hold on. Oh, I don't use this that much. I just discovered that I can turn off everything one time, so you can hear the before and after. Right. So with this program, this good. So processing. Let's turn off processing. This is how it sounds without any processing whatsoever. And this is how it sounds with the processing. Yeah. It's a lot of, this mic is kind of boomy. Interesting. And this is what it sounds with all the processing. Let me take off this pop filter. So my voice should sound a bit more pronounced. Ooh, plosive. Peter packed the pick up peckles. Sorry about that. And this is what it sounds with the processing. As you see, it's kind of a big difference. Put this back on. Yeah, it's kind of a big difference. So yeah, you can do that with any mic. You can do that with any mic. Just go through the things one by one, and once you set it, that's it. Now the only thing is, now if you turn off advanced and go back to simple, where you had those 3 things to choose from, it will remove all of your settings. Don't do that. Don't do that at all, because that would make your day pretty annoying. Yeah, so that's it. Let me go back to the other mic. Oh, sorry about that pop. So, oh, this mic is different. Well, this mic isn't really that fair. You can't do a comparison between this and the Rodecaster because this is going through a whole lot of other things. For instance, this is the Apollo, and it's the same principles. Only thing is the Apollo has a lot more to choose from. Let me show you the Apollo. Yeah, so this is my mic. As you see, the Apollo has a lot more to choose from. So this is a compressor, so this is the same as the compressor. It's just in a different form. You got the input, output, you got the attack, the release. Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing, but it's just in a different format. And you have Neve, which is another EQ, just in a different format. As long as you get the principles down pat, you can hit the ball run. This is another compressor, and it does the same thing, but the only thing about something like the Apollo is that you can stack compressors on top of each other, and it can change your voice completely. It can bring out a whole bunch of things in your voice. It can take away a whole bunch of things in your voice. You can fine tune it to what you want completely. And that's the difference between a prosumer product like the Rodecaster and something professional like the Apollo. And then there's the EQ. What's the EQ? The EQ I have is the SSL. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of knobs, but they all mean the same thing. This is the difference that I was telling you about with the Rodecaster. The Rodecaster has 3 bands. And with this, as you see, you have the high. You can't see what I'm pointing to. With this, you have the high. And then you have the high mid frequency. And then you have the low mid frequency. And then you have the low frequency. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 bands instead of 3. Yeah. That's basically it. So let me change this back. Any questions whatsoever? Hopefully you guys can go back to this vid and go over it again from the beginning and learn something, and please follow it. If you have a Rodecaster or whatever you have, whatever device you have that has all of those settings like EQ, noise gate, compressor, and etc., just go through this video and just learn the principles and just play with it. Go to the extreme until your voice is completely changed, and then just dial it back ever so slightly to till your voice sounds the way you want it to sound. Any questions whatsoever? Hopefully it was clear. I see no questions in the chat. I know Kev, Capture Productions, I know you got a Rodecaster. I know you've been playing with it as well. I can't wait to hear what you sound like, as you've been playing with it. I can't wait to hear. So yeah, if there's no other questions, that's about it. The next video is going to be a little different. Stay tuned. Other than that, yeah, I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. Peace.